What's up ladies and gents, Ghost here, and today I've got another gun guide, well overdue. It's been quite a while since I did one of these. Last time we took a look at the F2000, and today we're going to be taking a look at the 870 MCS. So this was actually recommended by a guy called GhostGaming. Sorry if I just completely messed up your name there, dude, but that's the best I can do. And he recommended this to me with full choke and dart rounds. Now, I definitely have to admit that I'm not the biggest shotgun user. In fact, since Battlefield 3, I really haven't given the shotguns much of a look. They just feel like they don't really fit into the maps in Battlefield 4 quite as well as they did in BR3. In fact, some time ago, I did a review on the SPAS 12 for Battlefield 3 with the slug rounds, and I remember even now, even though it was like a year ago since I did that review, that I was owning with that thing, man. It was absolutely amazing. You know, you had maps like No Shore Canals, Carg Island, with the shipping containers, and there were so many engagements with enemies where you would be in close proximity. You could really get a nice KD ratio in that game, but in Battlefield 4, all of the maps just seem to be designed around mid to long range combat. Some of them I find better than others. Zavod is pretty good. You know, you have those two flags that are linked together underground, and there's quite a lot of close range combat there. But some of the others, like Lankang Dam or Siege of Shanghai, seem to be predominantly about controlling the rooftops and getting kills with long range weapons. LMGs are great on those maps, but the shotguns just seem to fall short. But nevertheless, I decided it was time I picked one of them up and had a proper go, so I racked up a few hundred kills, unlocked pretty much everything, and I have to say, even though darts and full choke were recommended to me by this lovely gentleman, I can't really say they were working out for me too well. I just felt like at longer ranges it was taking me 2 shots to kill people, and at shorter ranges it was taking me 2 shells as well because of using the dart rounds instead of the buckshot. So I actually switched back to buckshot pretty quickly, and I'll go over the rest of the attachments in a little bit. But for now, let's take a look at some of the stats of the 870. So when it comes to pump action shotguns, you've got really 3 choices. You have the SPAS 12, the 870, and the Hawk 12 gauge. And really, in my opinion, the 870 is the most obvious choice. It does have some advantages over the SPAS in that with buckshot and darts, you're actually going to get 1 more pellet in each shell. So they have 12 pellets compared to the SPAS 12, which only has 11. The SPAS 12 does, however, have 1 more round in each magazine, or rather 1 more shell that the weapon itself can actually hold. So it means you're going to be able to take out more enemies at one go without having to reload, but for sheer damage potential, the 870 comes out on top. So what about the Hawk then? What makes this one better than the Hawk? Well, it's actually the damage model itself. It does 18 max damage, whereas the Hawk only comes in at 15.4. But it does, however, have 14 pellets. I've actually calculated this, and if you take 15.4 times 14, and then you take the 870's damage model 18, and times that by 12, the damage models actually come out at exactly the same. So even though the Hawk has more pellets, if you shoot somebody at point blank range with both of these shotguns and hit with all of the pellets, they're essentially going to be doing the identical amount of damage, only the Hawk can only carry 6 shells. It's a pretty big weakness in my opinion to only be able to carry those 6 shells, because that is really the beauty of the shotguns. When you get in those situations, you round a corner and you just see 10 enemies all standing completely unaware of your presence. What you really want to have in your hands is either a shotgun or an LMG. If you have an assault rifle, you're really going to only be able to pull off 3, maybe a complete maximum of 4 kills with 1 clip before you have to reload, and in which point the enemy is probably going to be aware of your presence. But with shotguns, especially if you're running with something like the 870 or the SPAS 12, you're going to have 8 or even 9 shells in there, which essentially means you can get 8 or 9 kills without having to even reload. So the rate of fire for the 870 comes in at 109 rounds per minute, which is identical to the SPAS 12, and it has a reload time of 0.7 seconds per shell, which is almost identical once again with the SPAS 12. Now for the recoil, we have an upwards pull of 2, left pull of minus 0.5, and a right pull of 1.5. So nothing too huge here. I don't really feel that recoil is a big factor on the shotgun, since you're going to be pillaring around corners, taking a shot or maybe 2, and then going back around in order to throw it on a med kit or heal yourself up. You really want to be trying to take out targets in 1 or a maximum of 2 shots. Now as for damage models, I would definitely go with the buckshot for the 870. I just really feel that that's where this weapon shines. With a max damage of 18 up to 15 meters, if you hit somebody with all 12 of those pellets, you're going to do 216 damage, which is pretty insane, a little bit overkill there, but it's nice to be able to miss with over half of those pellets and still get a one-hit kill. Now the gentleman in this video, as I mentioned before, did say to go with a full choke and darts. I just found that with the darts, there were far too many situations where I had to fire 2 shells at an enemy to take them out, even at close ranges of around 20 meters or so, and it was just ending up in me dying. And at the end of the round I had a pretty bad KD. I switched back to buckshot and my KD just shot up tremendously. I think it's more about playstyle really. I try and move along cover and get close to the enemy, and that's really the hard and skillful part about using the shotguns, getting in and closing the gap between you and your enemy. Once you get there, all you really have to do is pull the trigger if you have the right setup for your weapon. And the setup that I like to run with is the RDS or Coyote sight, whichever you have lying around, the best one, and obviously laser sight. That's pretty much a no-brainer for a shotgun. Now when it comes to the barrel attachment, I actually go with the standard barrel. This might be somewhat contradictory to what a lot of you guys down in the comment section are going to be saying afterwards. You're probably going to be like, what? No full choke, Ghost? What the hell, man? But I just like my weapon to have the most potent hip fire with that buckshot that I possibly can, getting close to my enemies and take them out. That's just me and my preference. Some of you guys out there might like to use the modified choke or even the full choke, but just know that it is really going to significantly nerf your hip fire. Now as for a sidearm, this is pretty important when running with something like a shotgun, especially if you go with my setup, which is extreme close range. Personally, I love the SW40. I think I've been using that pistol on all of my class loadouts since Naval Strike was released, or since the pre-patch for Naval Strike was even released. I've just never looked back, man. That weapon is amazing. I've tried out the Magnum, but the delay on that thing, even though it has better range and superior range to the SW40, the delay is just intolerable to me. I just really cannot stand it. So the SW40 packs a punch at close range, and it can also deal out some decent damage at long range as well. So I hope you enjoyed this little gun guide, guys. As always, if you did, leave the video a like down below. That helps me out so much and I really appreciate it. If anybody has ideas for the next gun guide, then feel free to leave those down in the comment section down below and I might pick one of them. Alright guys, thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.